All right, what's up, nerds? Let's do some exercises, dog. All right, so here we go. We are going to open up to pages 20 and 21 in our workbook. And these are the exercises we're going to do. We're going to do 5, 6, and 7. There is another one on the other page. You do not need to do that, though, so don't worry about that. But yeah, these are the exercises I'm talking about. These are them right here. All right, I put them into the PowerPoint so that you guys can go back through the PowerPoint if you want, just to practice and see the grammar and all that kind of stuff. Just play out again. So here we go. Let's hop straight in. Let's hop into it. All right, so here we go. Exercise 5. Okay, so this is, by the way, this is not a letter of Abelard and Heloise. This is Cicero and his wife, who at some point, Cicero was a really famous author and orator and speaker, basically a lawyer. He was like the one who carried law the strictest in Rome at a time where everyone was starting to disobey the law. He was like this figure of like, we've got to go back to our roots of obedience and roots of piety and discipline as a people. And he just like didn't pull any punches. He like made a lot of people angry, but he's pretty incredible. There are not a lot of people like him in the world, you know, still just like in a lot of cultures. So I love talking about him. And I don't want to talk about him too long because we're just doing grammar stuff right now. Okay, we can talk about it later. This is just an intro to his letter. That's what this is. So Cicero, his name is going to be third declension, so it'll be Cicero or Ciceronis. It'll have like the added N in there for the stem for his name. Cicero, and then Terentia is his wife's name. And then Sua Salutem, and I might have typed that in wrong, so let me just check and see really quick. Yeah, it should be Suai. My bad. Suai. So A-E. Salutem deacon. So this is really it. Cicero says greetings. Salutem. Cicero says greetings to his Terentia. Suai is that, remember I was talking about it in class, to with an ending, may with an ending, and then su with an ending. This just means your, my, his, hers, or its. So this is his. Cicero says hello to his Terentia. All right. It's like, greetings, Terentia. All right. So this is how letters were started back in the day. All right. So from the letters, out of the letters, much men, and then you see all these are genitive right here. All right. Of much men. Of much men.
Middle school cross country is dismissed.
Sorry.
Again, middle school cross country is dismissed.
So if you need to go, you can go. All right, so from the letters, you have a verb here, didache. All right, I have learned. So this comes from disco, discera, didache. All right, so this is the third principal part, didache. So instead of I learn or to learn, it's I have learned. All right, I learned. And yeah, from the letters, of many men. That's basically how we can translate this. Of many men. I have learned, and then what is learn? Learn is a neck up. So I have learned that, all right? And then the next word, that's a subject noun in the next clause is going to be accusative. So that's why te is there. I have learned that you, all right? And then we have a big, long thing down here, all right? And it's just going to translate like this, that you drove. All right, agora means to drive or to do something, really, like just to do it. It's where we get the word act from. So act. Act out, like act. You know, it's like, what does that mean? It could mean anything. All right? That you drove with great, magna animi fortuna, with great bravery of spirit, into dangers, into these dangers, and into these difficult things. So he's saying that he read a bunch of letters from letters of many people. I learned that you drove with great, pressed on with great courage, magna fortitude, with great courage of spirit into these into these dangers and into these difficult things. That's that sentence right there, okay? Now he starts with a verb on this next one. Skripserunt. They wrote, because that one's perfect as well. Erunt is perfect. They wrote indeed to me. So that. So here we go. They wrote. Perfect in the past. So this is a purpose clause. They wrote to me indeed. So that. And there you go. That's the imperfect subjunctive because we have a past perfect, that's secondary sequence, so we have imperfect subjunctive. So that they might tell about you. So it was not, he's saying like, they weren't just writing letters and I learned through the letters that you had done things. It's like they wrote those things to me so that I would know about the amazing things that you've been doing. My freaking hot Terentia wife. My Terentia, I love you. You're so cool. All right? I love Cicero so much, dude. Cicero's so dope. We're going to translate him next year, dude. It's so sick. Homie knows how to write, dude. All right? Now, miserable. Factus sum. And factus sum comes from facio facere, and this is that first person singular perfect passive form. So that's the form of sum with the perfect passive participle, with that fourth principal part. So now I have been made miserable. And you guys can probably assume what kind of miserable he's in. Miser can also mean heartsick. Isn't that sweet? All right? So now I have been made miserable. Fortassa. All right? So fortassa, they would have given you this one in the book, I think. But it's just by chance. Fortassa. Like fortune would have it is what fortassa means. So by chance, I... Ero, erara, erawi. So this is first person singular perfect active. I have wandered. That's what erawi means. It means to wander. By chance, I have wandered. And nos. That means us. And then you see duxi. So we have first person singular perfect active. First person singular perfect active. So I have wandered and I have led us to Tunesta. And Tunesta here, you just don't worry about it. You guys never would have had this. It's not Tunesta either. I typed it in wrong. It's Funesta. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that word means. It wasn't in the book. I never looked it up, so I just don't know what that word means. Funesta. I can't think of what it means right now. Let me look her up really quick. Funesta, Latin. It's starting to seem really, 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 really... Huh. Yeah, it's not really coming up as a thing. It's like an adjective, and it means fatal. So... Oh, no. I've led us into destruction, funesta? That's starting to like ring a bell. I typed it in. It's not even Tunesta. Funesta. I was writing it really fast. Funesta. I've led us to destruction. So really what he's talking about, there's a little history that they gave you right here. It just basically they got exiled from one another. The reason why he got exiled was because of the things that he wrote. He wrote a lot of things that were against the modern corrupt politicians of the time, so you guys can assume they didn't like that very much. So there you go. That's the first chunk. Here's the next little baby chunk. And this is intelligo, which, I mean, dude, if that's not a neck up verb, I don't know what is, dog. So I understand that, and then there's another accusative subject right there. I understand that you, propter me, propter means on account of. I understand that you, on account of me, very much dolera, suffer. Because remember, that's the verb in the indirect statement, so accusative, noun, after the neck up, and then you've got the infinitive verb right there. So I understand that you are suffering much because of me. Yucky. Because, dude, he stood his ground. Remember, he's that kind of a politician that just doesn't, he sees something wrong, he's like, I'm not just going to turn a blind eye to this. You guys are a disease. And he would call them out like that, dude, in front of the entire Senate. He would write things and publish it for all the people. And they're like, hey, Cicero, can you please stop, dude? We're just having a good time. And he's like, no, you're ruining everything. Rome is falling apart because of you and your corruption and your greed. And then they were like, okay, well, get out. And they exiled him. And then, they like did horrible, horrible things to people who knew him or supported him or loved him. All right? And now this is so sad. Martin head. Tears now do not allow. Tears now do not allow me to write. He's crying so hard he can't write. He's not just being poetic about that either. Homie was so depressed. I've read his works of when he was in exile. Oh man. There's so many amazing works of people when they're at their lowest. That's like when the greatest forms of art come out, is in like times of just absolute destruction and turmoil. One of the best, if you guys ever want to look into it, is a book by a guy named Boethius. This is his name, Boethius. And he was like one of the highest up people in the Holy Roman Empire until he did something. Dude, I didn't even think about this. Until he did something very similar to Cicero. He saw that there were corrupt things going on in the Senate at the time. And the Senate was like fused with the church at that time. It was so messy, dude. Church, Senate, priests, senators were the same. It's just like to think about the history of like what we've been talking about with like Rome and like, I don't know, maybe I haven't even talked to you guys enough about it, but that's just like, can you imagine if like all the senators in America were priests and they were talking about like how God was talking to them to like do these things, but they were really making it up because that was what was happening. So this guy Boethius was like, I call BS on that. I don't think God's telling you to charge people their entire estate in order for them to go to heaven or something like that, And so he got, he was faithful, he was pious, he was dutiful to the Lord. He was like truly in tune with the Lord, and he like was sort of like this prophet figure who was like, you guys are going to destroy everything. And then one guy was just like, you know what would be sweet is if you didn't have a head anymore. So he put him in jail, said, think about what you've done. All the righteousness that you've been trying, And so Boethius is just sitting there, and he's just like, God, what is going on? Why is this happening? And then he writes when he's in jail. And it's like one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. It's called Constellation of Philosophy. And this lady named Philosophia, which is Latin for philosophy, this lady named Philosophia comes to him and just talks to him while he's in freaking jail for doing the right thing. And it's sort of like this. He's just in exile. So is his wife. Neither of them can live in Rome now. No, she is in Rome still. He can't. He can't come back. But yeah, all these awful things are happening. He can't do anything about it. It's crazy. Because he stood up to them. And I'm not saying he's like all peaches and sunshine. He's a man, so of course he like jacked a lot of things up. But like, you get what I'm saying. All right. Scribam. So it comes from scribo, scribera. So if we see the A in there, then you know that it's got to be subjunctive or future or something like that. It's different, all right? So I will not write, or let me not write. I may not write, all right? Nay, I may not write so that something not, so that you, opprimaris, that's like to basically be oppressed by. All right, so like oppress, you can see it in there. Oppress, like oppressi is the third principal part. So I will not write so that you will not, nay, so that you may not be oppressed by tears also. And you can see that this is passive, ris, opprimaris. So it's passive, be oppressed by tears, ablative of agent. So, yeah, he's basically saying, I'm going to stop writing so that you're not crying either. I just want you to know I love you and I'm proud of you. It's like, dang, dude. What? We're just out here trying to do a grammar exercise, getting hit by all this stuff, dude. That's why I love teaching Latin. It's the best. All right. But he's not done quite yet. But you, let's go. Let's see what he says. Dude, let's freaking go. I love this guy. But you, ad me, but you to me, scribas, you should write. You can see it, scribo, scribera, it's got the A. You should write so that de te, about you and about our kids, de filiis, I may know. So I want to know everything. I don't care how much it breaks my heart. Write to me about everything. Goodbye, Terentia mea, my Terentia, my life. Bro. Love this guy. All right, let's do the next one. Oh, it's so funny. We're just like freaking doing this, and now it's all like beep beep, bop. All right, whoops, went too far, didn't I? Exercise 7. What's going on right now? How'd that happen? All right, here we go. English into Latin. Let's do this. All right, you ought to know. So debes, and then to know is skira. So debes skira, the infinitive skira. I should probably write this down, huh? Debes skira. You ought to know. And this is a different guy. This is a totally different section. You can see it right there. This is not Cicero. This is like kind of a poem. All right, so this has nothing to do with the thing that we just read. This is just completely different. All right, you ought to write, Corinthus, and you can just put that right there, Corinthus, that. Now that is not the that. This is neck up that. You ought to know that. All right, so now all these things need to follow indirect discourse, indirect statement. So know that I, so remember the indirect statement needs the subject noun to be accusative. So the subject noun for I is ego, but you got to go down to the accusative. Ego, mei, mihi, me. So you ought to know that I, that's confusing to put that underneath that arrow, just his name goes there, that I am not in good health. So that's actually a verb. To be in good health is a verb, and it's waleo. So walera is what we use, because remember we're in indirect discourse. So walera has to be the verb as an infinitive in the indirect statement. So me, to be well, not known. That I am not in good health. All right, and you can just leave it like that. All right. I wrote. We've done that a bunch already. That's just scriptsy, third principal part of scribo. So I wrote to you. All right, and so you can just do the dative of to, tui, tibi, te, te. So whatever the dative is, that would be tibi. So I wrote to you so that. All right, so here we go. I wrote. Now what tense is wrote? That's perfect. So I wrote to you so that you may know that. And that's not that. Or the indirect statement, that's a different that, because English is beep, beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. All right? I wrote to you so that you may know that. And this is the demonstrative pronoun, that. Ile, ala, lud. That thing. That singular thing. All right? And this is the that he's talking about. All right? I wrote to you so that you may know that. All right? Right now. But here's the thing. I wrote to you is perfect active. So what sequence of tenses are we in? I wrote. That's past. So that means we have to put this next verb, whatever this verb might be, we have to put it in the imperfect subjunctive. All right, so the verb here is know. So what's the verb to know? We used it up here. Skira. And guess what? We can just take that, and it is now the whole stem of this thing. And it's you may know. So it's ski raise. All right? Why is it in that form? Why is it imperfect subjunctive? Simply because this verb is past tense. Perfect. If this were I write to you, then this would have to be skias. With the present active, she steals a diary, IA. Thing in there. Sequence of tense, that's all it is. So that you may know that, and that would just be illud. Neuter, singular. All right, wouldn't expect y'all to know that would be it right off the bat. But yeah, just a neuter, singular thing. So to know that thing, to know that. All right. Are you thinking about your girl? So this is a question. All right, so what you do here is you take the verb and you're going to put it to the front and you put ne at the end of it. All right? So the verb for think is, there's a lot. Think. We could do, cogito. That's probably the easiest one. Cogito, cogitara. Knock off the ra. You're left with cogita. All right? And then you. How do you make it you? You put s at the end. Cogitas. You think. But to make it a question, you put ne at the end. So cogitasna. And this isn't the ne with ne with the macron that goes, for negative. That's not that one. This is an enclitic that will always be attached to the end of the first word of a sentence, making that sentence a question. All right, cogitasna. Cogitasna, are you thinking? All right, about. So de. All right, about your girl. So here's another example where we can use those special reflexive possessive adjectives. Remember, your always starts with tu. All right? And then girl is the thing, the object of this preposition. So she, girl, has to be in the ablative. So puella is the word for girl, but that's nominative. You make it ablative by putting a macron right there, Peyton. All right? De tua just takes the same ending. All right, your girl. All right, Tua Tagovailoa. His name just means yours, dude. How special. All right, hope he doesn't get a concussion this year. But you can do ought. You do said. I think ought is pretty good here. It's like but, really like in there. But if, so you can do see. If I fight, and then they're telling you right here to use the future perfect. So the verb for fight is pugno, pugnara, pugnawi, pugnatum. So you need the perfect active stem to do the future perfect. So pugnaw, P-U-G-N-A-V. And then you need to do I fight using the future perfect. Your future perfect endings are ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erunt, erint. So ero is what you need. So it would be, but if pugna wero, like that. All right? But if I fight in order to, so here's another ut. In order to overcome. So remember, that's the middle evolved Pokemon. The easiest and simplest and shortest is, but if I write to overcome, the little bit bigger is in order to overcome, but the fully fleshed out is in order that I might overcome. So the subject noun here is still I. And it's helpful to do the evolution thing. If you see a small one, it's like, wait, who's still the subject noun? It's I. But if I fight in order to overcome, he's still the subject noun of this one. And this is the verb that we have to do the sequence of tenses with fight. And remember, fight we wanted to do in the future perfect. And the future perfect is in what sequence of tenses? It's in the primary sequence of tenses. So we're going to take this verb overcome, which is winko, or supero, superara. I'm just going to do winko, though, because that's the cooler one. It's where we get the word victory from. So overcome, we have to use what principal part here and what stem to get the correct sequence. Future perfect is the primary sequence of tenses. So what tense does that need to be? It needs to be present subjunctive. All right? So overcome is winko. Winkera, all right? So winka would be its normal, you knock off the ERE, third conjugation. So you need she steals a with a, all right? In order to overcome. So future perfect, we're still using the present subjunctive here for the second verb and the other clause. In order that I might overcome, all right? So I am still the subject noun, so am, all right? And what's he overcoming? The illness. All right, there's a lot of word for illness, but I think that the one that they gave you to do here is morbus, where we get the word morbid. People die from illness. That's what morbid means. All right, so morbus is its form in the nominative, but since it's to overcome this thing, that means it's the direct object. So you can't leave it as that ending. You just have to change that to be morbum. All right, and here we go. One little bit. My heart, which is the same, they want you to use the word for chest here. Heart and mind and soul is animus. But talking about the chest, it's like where, we get the idea of like like where the heart sits. So when people talk about their chest, they're talking about like the fire within their chest. They're talking about love. All right. But animus is like the spirit, It just means different things. That's why we have different words for it. All right. So the word for chest is actually pector, where you get pectoral muscles. Pector in its third conjugation. So my heart, all right, meus pector. All right, and that's still it in the nominative. My heart. I'm trying to think. I forget what gender chest is. So it could be meus, it could be mea. I forget the gender of chest. It might be feminine, because then it would just be mea pector, just to match. It's nominative, though. So whatever, it's nominative. All right, my chest will suffer. What's the word for suffer? The one that they want you to use here is labor. Like the same one for work, to like go through something, labor, to suffer through. So laborara, I mean. All right, so will suffer. So that's the future. So what conjugation is laborara? It's first, so you can use bo bis bit for this one. So my heart will suffer. I'm just going to go ahead and do it over here. Labora is the stem, but we know heart is the subject noun, and heart is an it, so that's third person singular. All right, labora bit. My heart will suffer anyway. All right, so anyway, I'm not really sure what word to use here. Don't worry too much about anyway. I can't even like really think of a good word to use here. Anyway. Oh, Tamen, nevertheless. Tamen, my heart, nevertheless, Tamen, will suffer the illness of love. So illness, same word here. And this is the thing that it will suffer. So I will suffer. My heart will work the illness of love. So this is the direct object. Illness, morbum, once again, as a direct object. And then of love is just genitive. And the word for love is amor, amoris. So that's the genitive, amoris. Morbum, amoris. Man, what a phrase. It's a tattoo right there. Morbum, amoris, dude. Dude. We're all gonna get matching tattoos? Just kidding, we're not. Maybe. All right, here we go. Let me do the next one. All right, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this one right now because it's pretty long and I gotta go to lacrosse practice, but yeah, I actually don't know if I'm gonna do this one. I'm not gonna do this one. It's just another, I'm not gonna do it. You maybe could give it a shot. It's really cool. It's just Pliny. Pliny was one of the guys who witnessed the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, dude. And this is what he's writing about. Dude, it's also weird, and there's a reason why I put it in there. He was married to a super young girl. All right, so that's why they're bringing it in. Dude, this publication, dude, I'm telling you, the ones who put these textbooks together, they are so good. Like, I cannot believe how good and like classical, like all wrapped around this publication is. Man, they went crazy. They went hard. I'm very appreciative. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful, though. Y'all can toy around with exercise 7 as much as you would like. It's only going to help you, just to see and dig and think. And I'll be here in the morning for any questions if you guys have anything like that. So best of luck. Appreciate you guys and all your hard work. You're amazing young people. I'll see you around. Bye.